Obviously, I'm tired enough that I can't even figure out where the power button is. So, today I wanted to talk about don't let your homestead kill you. Last night I was watching a live broadcast from Deep South Homestead. Go check them out if you haven't seen them. They're completely legitimate and amazing. They're in Mississippi, in the Deep South. And they are getting ready to sell all their goats, or at least 5 of them, because they've had storms that have gone through and ruined fences, and they are looking really deeply and honestly at what's happening with their health and their homestead, and whether or not what they are currently doing is working for them. So let me see if I can show you my homestead. We have 5 goats right now. One of them is the renters that they still need to come and get, and they'll have her out of here on Saturday. But we only have 1 goat in milk, and we really only need 1 goat in milk at any time. We have really high quality stock, which means that we will have 3 goats that are not in milk, that we are feeding, that we are taking care of, that we are responsible for, when really we only need 2. 1 milking and 1 pregnant, because we like to stagger our milking. Even at the top of our need, we only need 3 goats. 1 pregnant, 1 milking, and 1 extra, so that if we lose a goat, we have a replacement. So 3 is the max that we really need. And yet, we currently have 5. In a minute, we'll have 4. And I think you need to take a really strong, long look at the way that you have your homestead set up. Sometimes you get into your head that things are going to be profitable, and then later when you have a little bit of egg on your face, you won't let go of certain ideas that you had because you want to prove the world that it was a great idea. And yet circumstances change. Health changes, resources change, so many things change, and you need to be flexible, and you need to be able to change your plans and change what you're doing. Thank you for being gentle. Right now, we had intentions of having the chickens here next to the little cabin, but we have a better setup for them in the front. One where we don't have to feed them as much, where we almost don't have to feed them at all because they can get bugs, and they have shade, and that kind of thing. And a lot of times we start losing animals, or we start having friction with our family, when instead of listening to the wisdom of those around us and listening to the wisdom of our own body, we insist on staying in a difficult situation or continuing to work with something that at least currently isn't working for us. Part of what I've done this year to stop being foolish or to be preemptively wise is that I have cut down a lot of trees. If they're not fruit trees, if they're hard to get water to, if they're just not thriving, I cut the trees down and I removed the water systems that were set up to it. And what that does for me is, 1, it means that I don't have to run my canal pump, which costs gasoline. 2, I don't have to water as frequently, because those bad places that were not thriving needed not just water, but fertilizer and mulch and all sorts of things. And yet, by being able to look at them and say, this is not a productive spot, I don't want to put any more resources into this because these are not food trees, and they're just not worth my time. And by doing that, I'm able to make the most out of the things that are productive, that are giving us food, that do bring back an income. And it's valuable because there's a limit to what I can do. And I'm very dependent on my kids for help on the homestead. They do so much work. And that's wonderful. And the training for them is wonderful. But I don't want to teach them that homesteading is just slave-like work, that they can never get away from it and that there's no fun. I want them to be able to take their time doing the things that they enjoy and have downtime and playtime. And by having too many projects going, they really can't, because I need them. If we're going to keep that many animals alive, I need them to always be working. So that's another reason why I'm cutting back. The last thing I would recommend is, as a homesteader, it's very hard to make a large profit off of growing things for resale. Very difficult to do that. You have to have a lot of land, you have to have a lot of expertise, you have to have a lot of equipment. it's very difficult to make a profit off your actual physical goods that you're raising on your homestead, to do it on that kind of scale. And so I think it's much wiser instead to feed your own family, because you can save a lot of money by growing your own groceries, a lot more than you can make by selling them at a farmer's market, because then you also have the fuel and the time that is needed to get things set up at the farmer's market. And then if you don't sell it all, what a waste. Such a terrible waste. And most people don't understand the quality and the value of what you're bringing to the farmer's market. So this is me sitting in our little hammock underneath the trees while Paige catches some chickens. You can hear her in the background. She's catching the chickens to go put them in a better spot that will require less work and less feed. The less feed I have to put into those chickens, the less money I have to make to feed those chickens, the better. We have all the animals in as self-harvesting a situation as possible. The geese have their own space and they can eat all that grass. The ducks are in the backyard and they can eat all the slugs and all the weeds. And now the chickens are going to be up in the front and they will be able to do the same. And so it will take very little effort on our part. And it will have the added benefit of adding fertilizer. Yes, honey?
Do you want me also to get the ones in the backyard?
Nope, we're going to keep them split because of the 2 roosters.
Okay.
Just make sure they have their water nice and full and scrubbed, okay? Did you want to bring it here and you can show it to them? So I'm taking a moment in a hammock, and the girls are in a little bit of trouble because they were wasting water earlier, which is a no-no here. And so they're doing a little bit of extra work, and then I'm going to give them another option to not be in trouble and to go play. So come around so they can see her. Be gentle with her, okay?
So this is Tiara, and she's 5th in our chickens, and the last one I'm catching.
Yep.
And she tried to fly out of the coop twice while I was trying to catch her. So,
Okay, go get her put up.
okay.
And then make sure they have food and water. Just one scoop. Make sure
Yeah.
it's in a spot where they... In fact, we have that white bucket. Make sure to take
Yeah.
the white bucket and pin it, because then they can't scoop it out.
Yeah.
Okay? And one of the big flat black ones for water, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's very, very important, because one of the reasons, I think the biggest reason most people homestead is because they want to be independent. But if you are actually just shoveling money and shoveling time into your homestead, that's not independence. That's slavery to a dream. And you don't want to be a slave to your dream. You want it to be productive, and you want it to make your life abundant. You don't want it to make you miserable, and you don't want it to cause bad feelings in your family. So I hope you can go out and get some hammock time in yourself. And I highly recommend that you get out a piece of paper and a pencil and you make out some lists of what your real dreams are, and where your money's going and where your money shouldn't be going. And it's so easy to get overboard and have more animals than what is fiscally bright to do. If you only need 2 goats, keep 2 goats. Don't keep 23. You know, if your feed in your area is too expensive for one animal, but it's really inexpensive for another animal, try to get into that other animal. But in all the work that I've done, I have never found it profitable to raise food for other families. I've only found it profitable to save money for my own family and to give us better health. And just kind of be careful of that profit trap that you can get into, where, yes, you do get $150 when you sell that pig, but if you spent $500 to feed that pig, then obviously that wasn't a good deal for you. And that's what turns people sour on homesteading. So I'm going to go read an ebook. I'm going to take a break, drink some water, and we're going to shower early tonight, have dinner, and go to bed. So thanks for coming in. I do have books on homesteading on our Etsy store. If you look up Dirtpatcheaven on Etsy and go to our store, you can see them. And we'll talk to you later.